does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. And today, I'm very excited checking out Codenames Duet from CGE. This is for 2 or more players. Take about 15 minutes to play, and it's for ages 11 plus. And Codenames Duet is a spin-off to the immensely popular Codenames, but this one is designed from the ground up to be a 2-player or 2-team game in which you and your teammate are going to be trying to give each other clues a la Codename style and not find the deadly assassin. How does it work? Is it good? Are they jumping the shark? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Codenames Duet. Now I do want to mention that this is a nearly 95% final version of the game, but there are a couple things that you will see that will change and be nicer when they get to you. But let's talk about the game. So Codenames Duet, first and foremost, we got a handy dandy rule booklet. It is 12 pages, double-sided, full of color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. Fantastic. We'll have you up and running in no time at all. Also, if you're familiar with Codenames, then you should have an even quicker jump start to learning the game. So big thumbs up on the rule booklet. So in Codenames Duet, this is Codenames, but it's been changed to play 2 players or 2 teams if you choose to do it like that. So let's take you through some differences, and then we'll take you through the gameplay. So first component-wise, you're going to get cards, and more cards, and you can use these cards just as expansions for the original game and vice versa. So nice that there's more cards to use. You're going to be getting your characteristic special code words things, which will tell you which are the spots, the secret agents, but then also the assassins. But you're going to notice something big and different here in the fact that there's going to be 3 assassins on each side of the card, because now the cards are going to be double-sided. You will be looking at this side, and your opponent will be looking at the other side, because they are going to have clues they're going to be giving, and you're going to have clues that you're going to be giving. Over here, we are going to have innocent bystander tokens. Now, these are going to be dual-purpose tokens. First and foremost, if you play the campaign version of the game, where you'll be going all across the world trying to not get beat, because it's incredibly difficult, and we'll talk more about that later, you will use that for various different setup things. But also, these you're going to put on ones instead of innocent bystander cards. So in the original Codenames, you would put innocent bystander cards down. So you'd have these guys, but they would look like this. However, in this version of the game, you're actually going to put these down, and as you can barely see, there's a little arrow right here, and you will point the arrow at the person that guessed that word. So let's just say my teammate over here guesses roll. So we put that innocent bystander on there because now my teammate will know that that is in fact an innocent bystander to him, but for us, it could potentially be the assassin. It could potentially be, an agent. So that kind of helps you figure out who has guessed what, and it gives you a little bit more information, which is nice as well. So let's go back to this card over here, because the introduction of 3 assassins is a really cool concept, and it actually gives you a lot of information. So just like regular Codenames, if my teammate were to pick this word, or this word, which in this case would be bunk, kilt, or sleep, then game over, just immediate end. However, I now have the knowledge, because in this game, this is how it works, and they have a nice little handy-dandy secrets of the key card thing here, that one of these for me is going to be an assassin, one of these 3 black words for me is going to be an agent, something I actually have to pick, and one is going to be an innocent bystander. So once you get into late game situations, you're going to be looking at this, and this is going to tell you a lot of knowledge, because let's just say this is an innocent bystander, and this is an agent, then you will know that this absolutely is a death card for you. So just a really interesting design note there. So let's just show you how the game works. And it's just like regular Codenames, except with 2 players. In the beginning of the game, the first person to come up with a clue is going to say their clue. So let's just see if I can come up with a clue real quick off the top of my head. We've got tiger, mist, volcano, parrot, nylon. I'm going to give an absolutely atrocious clue, and I'm just going to say deadly 2. And I'm trying to get volcano, and I'm trying to get tiger. But I did look at my black words. Chalks are no way deadly, kilt is not deadly at all, and bunk is not deadly at all. So the only word that would really kind of throw my opponent off potentially, or my teammate off, might be blade or tank, but hopefully they would first say, volcano. And so I would make sure to point this towards them so they know that they figured out that word, and then they would get to continue to keep going. Now, in the original version of the game, you could go 1 extra word. So when you give a clue to your opponent, you say a word and then you say a number. So I said deadly 2. In the original version of the game, in the pictures version of the game, they would then have 3 guesses as long as they got all of them correct. In this version of the game, you can keep going until you get an incorrect answer. So let's just say next, I screwed up a little bit and he said tank. So he pointed to tank. I would then put my innocent bystander right there, pointing towards him to let him know that tank is off the board for him. But for me personally, I still can guess tank. And then we go back and forth doing this. You're going to be trying to get all of your dudes on the board. Now, I believe there is 15 of these guys that you're going to be trying to put on the board, but there's going to be 9 green ones on your side and 9 green ones on your teammate's side, which means you will have 3 crossover, which once again is another valuable piece of information that you need to take into consideration. This is one of those games that the more you play it, the more little tiny things are going to start clicking into place, and you'll be able to deduce a little bit more. That's one thing I really love about this game, spoiler alert, is that there's a slight bit of deduction here when you're looking at this card and you're looking at what clues you've been given and what clues your opponent has picked and what spots are open. So that is Codenames Duet. You're going to continue to go until you run out of turns. So these are going to act as turns as well. If you successfully don't pick, obviously, a bad agent or an innocent bystander, then you are going to take one of these, you're going to flip it over to this side, and you're going to put it in front of you, and once you run out of these, the game will go into sudden death, assuming you haven't picked one of the black agents and it's insta-death. So once you get to this point, it then becomes no more clues. No one can give any clues, but you will be able to just randomly pick stuff based on the previous information you have been given and hopefully have a chance to win the game, which is another aspect that I really do like, because you'll get down to that last few, you'll get down to the fact that you have no more tokens left, and maybe you still have two of these guys left, and you're like, oh, where should I go? Where should I go? I don't know what to do. And at that point, it just becomes a guessing game, but at the same time, you're like stressing out because he said like, oh no, he said olive 3 earlier, and I only got 2 of the olive-related clues, so then you're going to be stressing out about which one is the third olive, and it's just a lot of fun. Now let's talk a little bit more about sort of the campaign aspect here, where you're going to be trying to go to all these different parts of the world and just beat it. So the numbers on here, and I do want to mention that this is actually just printer paper, so the one that you get is going to look much nicer, are going to make the game slightly easier or slightly more difficult. So right now, you're always going to start on Monte Carlo, which means you will have 9 turns, aka 9 of these innocent bystander tokens out. You go over to Madrid over here, it's going to get slightly easier, 10 and oh, so you are going to get 10 of these innocent bystanders. Now let's take a look at London up here. So London's going to be a little bit different. It has 10 too. That means you are going to have 10 of these tokens out here. However, 2 of them are going to be check marks, which means you are only going to be able to hit 8 innocent bystanders. And if you don't have innocent bystanders and you instead have to use these, that will be bad news. So they are going to progressively get more difficult. Some of them are just like insanely difficult, like down here in Mumbai. So you're only going to have 6 turns and you can only screw up once. So very upping the difficulty. Obviously, that's going to be for people who play this a lot and are incredibly clever, which I am not. But that, in a nutshell, is what you're going to get inside of Codenames Duet. Alrighty then, Codenames Duet from CGE. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. First and foremost, 2 or more players, restricted player count. Now, it's built from the ground up to be a 2-player game. You can play with teams, and I tried a 2 versus 2 game, and I actually really enjoyed that. However, I do not think I would ever want to go with 3 versus 3 or 4 versus 3 or anything higher than that. Now, the reason why I liked it 2 versus 2 is actually because of one of the common complaints I've heard some people say about the original Codenames is that they do not like the pressure of being the clue giver. In this game, you are forced to be the clue giver, which I think is going to be a con to some people because you're going to have to give a clue every other time. But with 2 players, that kind of eases the pressure of giving clues because you can bounce ideas off of each other, and then you can be like, oh, wait, but that might correlate with the assassin, so we might want to make sure we change that clue to something else. So I did like it at 2 versus 2. I liked it as 1 versus 1, but I don't think I would want to go any higher than that. Next con I have with this game is that if you do not like the original Codenames or Codename Pictures, I don't think this changes enough of the formula to really sway you into liking this game. While it does add, the 3 assassins, and the fact that 1 assassin is an assassin, and 1's an agent, and 1's an innocent bystander on your side, it adds some cool new ideas. I don't feel like it changes enough of the formula to sway people who did not like the original first 2 games. Any other cons that I have with this game? Oh, the game can get repetitive. I mean, it's samey. It's, and that's the nature of the beast with a party-style game, which I do consider this to be, even though it is a two-player game. It still feels like a party-style game that you could play at a party, but it's obviously built for two players. But the games are going to be very samey. Yes, you might have a game from time to time where it's like, oh yeah, I once gave this clue that gave me 5, and it was really super awesome. But for the most part, it is just going to be doing the same thing over and over again. And I try to alleviate that by mixing it up with the world map, where things are going to be more difficult, incredibly difficult on some spots, and a little bit more easy on some spots. And I like that concept, but still, it is somewhat of a samey game. But moving on to the pros, Codenames Duet is fantastic. I sat down at Origins and I tried this, and I was like, I don't know. And then the second time I tried it, it clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, this game is genius. And I love this game. I am giving this a huge recommendation. And if you play two-player games, this is almost a must-own game in my humble opinion, as long as you like the original Codenames. So what did I like about this game? So first and foremost, it's just all the little things they tweaked feel like such a seamless transition from a large group party game that I've played with 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 people to making it now a two-player game is fantastic. Can you think of another party game out there that has gone through this sort of transition? I mean, could you imagine like Wits and Wagers two-player, or Say Anything two-player, or any other really popular party game but down to 2 players? It's just a hard thing to wrap your brain around, and they did it very, very well. It feels like this game was built from the ground up to be a two-player game, which is outstanding. I also love all the new additions that they made. I love just how ingenious it is that there's just these little bits and tidbits of information that you can pick up as you progress through the game on where the innocent bystanders are and which way the innocent bystanders are pointed. And oh, this is an assassin. I know this one's an assassin because we already did the green one here, and this is an innocent bystander. But then, I just love it. I love how the clues are slightly more difficult to give in this game because you have 3 cards that are assassins. But it never feels like the game is cheap in the base version of the game. Now, that being said, once you start going around the map, yeah, it can be pretty frustrating. This game is incredibly difficult in some aspects here. But I do like that. They come with 2 extra tokens, so you can add extra tokens if you want to make it a slightly easier game. But just the base game, straight out of the box, is still a difficult game with a good amount of challenge, and I really do like that. So overall, Codenames Duet, it's just this simple. Do you like Codenames? Do you play two-player games? Get this. It's that easy. Do you like two-player games and you're ho-hum on Codenames? I still would give this a shot because it's short, it's sweet, it's easy to learn, it's easy to teach, it plays well as a 2v2 game, and potentially for you, maybe even a larger player count. But Codenames Duet from CGE knocked it out of the park. Love this game. This will be on my shelf as long as I have a shelf. Be sure to check this one out. That is Codenames Duet from CGE. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. And in the comments below, let me know. Batman versus Black Panther. Who wins? For me personally, I like Batman better, but I think Black Panther's going to win. I just do. They're both billionaires. They both have amazing physique. Batman, I think, is a little bit older than Black Panther, but obviously it depends on if you're going in like the MCU or the DCU or the comics or whatnot. But I think I put my money on Black Panther. I think he's just, I don't know, I think he's got a little bit more of a killer instinct than Batman. I think he would be able to just, do the thing that Batman would not be able to do. But let me know in the comments below. Batman versus Black Panther. Who would win? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.